Now, well, let's address the elephant in the room. I hate when the dietitian calls me that. Yeah, I probably look like most of your dads, I guess. And tonight being the IT show, as I've just been hearing, you know, there's one woman at the back I could see was a techo. He's like, I'm a techo, most of you. So I've got a whole stack of jokes that, if any of you have dads that work in IT, your dads are going to love these jokes. I don't know if you guys will even recognise them. To start with, like, is anyone here, I mean, there's no coders in the room except one maybe. I don't know if you guys all know coding. Because first of all, we were just listening a second ago about, you know, back in the 2000s. In the 2000s, I was fucking 30. Anyway, thanks. Yeah, feel sorry for me. Go ahead, that's fine. But no, so I was going to say, hey, for all my coder friends, hello, world. Yeah. If you know your history, oh my God, some of you do. If you know your history, hello, world was the first thing you would write in a program back in 1970. Okay, and there's so many young people. Is there anyone here that's 20? 20? Go to 10. More real nerdy shit if you Google it will make sense. Right. Now, you might know though, everyone's got smartphones, you might remember when Android came out and each version of Android was a flavour thing, like a jelly bean, and then a cookie, does everyone remember donut and all those kind of names? Sure. Well, I don't know if you remember way back, when Windows was the flavour of the day, Windows 95 was around, and then it was Windows 98. But I worked on a secret team in between. We got sent to New Zealand, so we were trying to write Windows 96. And the flavour of Windows 96 was going to be fish and chops. And I was going to say, that joke was comedy gold. Comedy X3 gold. Oh my God, someone got to get it. Go back to your parents and go, hey Dad, what's X3 gold? And watch you go, fucking I haven't heard that in 30 fucking years. Anyway, right. So after tonight's gig, I'm going straight to a museum to check myself in. Right. But now, so I obviously did do computer programming for a long time. I worked in IT. I worked in cybersecurity for 30 friggin' years. But then I threw it away and went, fuck that, and I do comedy full time now. Because the whole time, comedy was my passion, and for that, the whole time I was doing cybersecurity, I always felt like a square peg in a round hole. And I tell you, after 30 years of pegging, you just go, fuck that. But my boss, she just used to call it team bonding. Now, there you go. Although the weird thing was, back in those days, I remember telling people I worked with in IT, I said, I really want to do comedy. And I told my doctor that, and he said, tell me a joke. So I told him a joke, and he said, yeah, I'd stick with your day job. And then I told my dentist, I said, I want to quit IT and go do comedy. He said, tell me a joke. And he said, yeah, I'd stick with your day job. But then at work, I told my boss, I said, I really want to quit IT and do comedy. He said, tell me a joke. And when I did, he said, shit, you should quit right now and go straight out and come into comedy. I said, really? Was it that funny? He said, no, your joke was pretty shit. But when I compare it to the quality of the work that you do here, anyway. Now, one of the other things, because technology being what it is, and comedians now, we're starting to panic. We're like, oh shit, it's like AI and ChatGPT. Is that going to take over and replace us by writing better jokes? I went on ChatGPT and said, tell me a really funny joke. And it came back and said, here is what is the funniest joke in the history of the world. Are you ready for this? Yeah. Now, it said, bear in mind though, this joke will be the funniest, this joke will be the funniest joke in the whole world in the year 2050. So, here we go. Right, are you ready for it? I might have given it way too big a build up, we'll find out. Here it goes. Okay, knock knock. Who's there? Humans, remember them? Okay. Skynet joke, that's why I so also, funnily enough, hard as it may sound to believe, not only did I quit cybersecurity, but I separated from my ex-wife and I'm single. Well, go figure. And the weird thing was, someone said to me, you need to get on dating apps. And I'm like, shit, at my age, when I was young, we didn't have dating apps. And I said, oh my God, I need to go to my 20-year-old daughter and say, you know technology, you know apps. What dating app should I get on? She said, Dad, at your age, you need a carbon dating app. Oh, that was hard. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen when a comedian sometimes they tell a joke they're really proud, and they say, when I wrote that joke, I just gave myself the rest of the day off. I don't know if you've ever seen that. But that joke that you just heard was actually written for me by my daughter when she was a teenager. So I just made her drop out of high school. She works at McDonald's now. Anyway, but the weird part, I don't know how many people here are on dating apps, but my only advice is whatever you do, don't make the same mistake I did. I tried to download and install more than one dating app at a time. I tried to put both Hinge and Tinder, and I got Tinder, and it just blocked me. Every time I try to meet a woman, it doesn't work. But then, luckily I managed to get past that, and it's interesting because it gave me a tip that said, Aussie women love a man with a foreign accent. So I thought, okay, I'll go online and try and learn a new language and see if I pick up an accent from it. And I did, but the problem was, I went online and I went to a really cheap language school because I learned French, but it was taught by an Irish guy. So the best I can do is this. I'm Jared. You're going to do. I'm going to do some shaving, Mark. No? It doesn't quite have the same ring, you know. I'll leave that. Now, I actually want to really quickly test something with you because, as you can see, being so old, someone came up to me one day and said, how did you know when comedy was what you wanted to do? And I said, actually, and it's so weird, because this is my true story, but it's actually the same as a comedy sketch that King and Peele do, which I watched it one day and went, that's not a comedy sketch, that's a fucking documentary. When I was in primary school, I used to sit next to my best mate Ben all the time. And one day, the teacher did something funny, and I whispered to Ben, oh, whatever, and he said it out loud, and everyone laughed. And then the next week, the teacher would do something, and I'd whisper it to Ben, and he'd call it out, and everyone would laugh. And this would happen like week after week. And then one day, as every comedian learns eventually, not every joke's a winner. And so one day I whispered something, and Ben calls it out, and I goes, oh, Ben, no, that's just so wrong. And he goes, that was Alec's joke. And that was when I realised, I went, hey, most weeks, or most times that I come up with a joke that he calls out, everybody laughs. I mean, sure, one didn't work, but most of them do. So overall, I must be pretty funny. And also, Ben is a cunt. All right, well, I will just leave you with a little bit of interesting information for you. I don't know if you guys know this, but as a comedian, we know when we get a light flashed at us from the back of the room, because the guy running the room flashes the light at the comic, and that means, all right, buddy, you've had your 5 minutes of fun, rack off till next time. And I know that because I was trained for that really, really well, because my ex-wife used to keep a torch next to the bed. I will leave you on that. I'll be Alec Fry. Thank you very much.